Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bloodbath Chat. Hey! So on today's episode, we're talking about how we're cutting expenses.
Yeah, and given that it's Father's Day Sunday, you know what you should give your dad? Some money.
You should just give him a smile and a thank you, because that's about all we can afford. Give him a gas card, maybe,
Yeah.
That's what me and my dad are talking about as we speak. He's just sending me gas prices. I just got gas the other day. I sent you guys a photo. It's $145. And I drive a car. I don't drive an SUV. So that's all we talk about is gas, my dad and I. So maybe I'll get my dad a gas card. But Father's Day is coming up. Yeah, we got some news to talk about. But I would say the main lesson of the episode is if you have a staff, fire them. If you have plans, cancel them. You got a streaming service, get rid of it. We're going back to board games and
Walking.
a lot of walking.
Just stare at the wall.
Yeah, we're going to steer you out of this thing. But Jerome Powell has made himself very clear about what he wants, and we're gonna help you get there. Buckle up. Time for some group chat.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Hey guys.
Hey, we have everybody in on the pod today. We even have
We
the
are
studio
all
fully
here.
packed with everybody.
A lot of hats in here.
A lot of hats. Everyone's wearing a hat.
You got a full
Ryan.
crew in there?
Yeah, full crew's
crew.
here. Everyone's wearing a variety of different shaped hats.
Back in the office, huh? The recession, everyone's back in.
Remote work's over, bro.
People saw
Yeah.
the Fed yesterday and was like, fuck, I got to
Like,
get
let
my
me show up.
office.
What was that propinquity thing Anand was talking about? Let me get a little bit of that. It's a bloodbath.
It's an absolute bloodbath. So we talked about this on Tuesday, that the Federal Reserve was having their meeting and they were supposed to raise rates. And it was a range from a half basis point to one full percentage point. People started saying they're going to raise 3/4. It ended up being 3/4. The market rips. All of a sudden, people are excited. Think yesterday was good. Today took a big dump.
Yeah,
Big dump.
today was a bloodbath, and I watched Chairman Powell's speech. And if you listen to the speech and you're not in finance, what he was basically saying was we need more unemployment. So he wants companies basically to fire people.
Yeah.
We basically want you to go home and stop spending. They
Okay.
are basically trying to create an economic lockdown. During COVID, we weren't allowed to leave our house. Now they're like, we want to make sure you have no money to spend.
Well, they're doing it.
What's really interesting, simultaneously, President Biden yesterday posted on Twitter a very interesting tweet. He said, when I took office, the economy had stalled and COVID was out of control. Since then, we've achieved the most robust recovery in modern history. Because of that foundation, we're better positioned to overcome global inflation and reach a new chapter of stable and steady growth.
Does he have like an outdated, is he looking at like last year's
data?
report?
Or like 2019.
What is robust? The Federal Reserve on his team has basically said that, no, we're actually about to crash the economy to slow things down. And he's talking about a robust recovery? How are they not on the same page?
We're going to have a robust
my
recession.
They're
Like
not even
very robust.
they're not even reading the same book.
No. I mean,
Literally, yeah. Not
One's
even,
reading fiction and one's reading nonfiction.
like, do you think there's a
That's-
strategy there
that's
that like
the-
maybe just I can convince the dummies? Like, how is no one checking that tweet and being like, need
it's
a
the
couple
same
edits?
day the Federal Reserve said we need a recession
Yeah.
without saying those words. And we're not going to stop until we get one. That was also made clear.
I mean, we're here. Let's move on. We can stop.
Yeah, enough with the
Stop.
recession. It's over. I'm
Just
over this
stop.
recession.
It hasn't
Jesus
started.
Christ.
It's dude.
I
We're
mean,
6 months in.
We're about to get the bad 6 months are about to start.
I
Oh,
actually, I don't. Here's the thing: is the demand. So there was some interesting credit card consumer data, and spending has fallen off a cliff. So I think we're in it right now. Like every retailer I talk to is experiencing the same thing.
Didn't May reported soft retail sales?
Yeah.
And that's probably a combination of supply chain inflation.
It's not supply chain is
No, meaning goods were too expensive. People just didn't buy as much.
or there's
The problem with supply chain now is everyone's distribution centers are filled to the fucking brim.
it's not
Because everyone bought all this inventory like at last year's run rate, and then you just hit a dead stop. And literally everyone I talk to, everyone's biggest problem is they just have too much inventory. Everybody.
Yeah, that's literally the problem. And I think what people need to realize is that I know everyone thinks it's going to get worse. I think the consumer spending, the worst is happening right now. And it could continue for months, but it's already started. The consumer has already pulled back. There's things they've already committed to, like travel or, trips and things of that nature, or like commitment to purchases they've already made. That's different. So, you're going to still see people doing things. Like if you committed to coming to LA, yes, you're going to go out to eat. You're not going to come out to LA and be like, I'm going to hit Ralph's and pick up some groceries and chill in the Embassy Suites, right? You're kind of committed to that. So I think like the consumer spending has already slowed. It'll continue to slow. It's going to get worse, no doubt. But I don't think 6 months from now, it's worse than what we are right now. I honestly don't believe that. Because at that point, gas prices
that's a depression, if you ask me.
Yeah, because if gas prices have not subsided by then we'll have another set of problems, which will be very different than what they are today.
I guess the what I'm pointing to is unemployment hasn't hit yet. So the American hasn't felt the pain other than paying more for gas and food when they don't have a job either. And you have still lingering inflation. That's what I'm talking about, the pain. The layoffs are coming. The Fed said we have too low of unemployment. He wants it double. I think we're at 3%. He wants 6 to 7%.
That's true. That's the true bloodbath.
I think there's 3% of people that are happy to just stop working.
Yeah,
We should just say volunteering to leave.
If the unemployment doesn't go up, he's going to just keep raising rates.
35% interest rates.
Who knows?
Do you think they're manipulating gas at all?
I was wondering if they called like Fortune 100 companies like, hey, you guys got to start laying off people. Like the Federal Reserve calling, I don't know, General Motors.
No.
I think they don't have to, because that speech you just talked about is that. That to me, if I'm a Fortune whatever company, I hear that and I'm like, all right, let me just get this over with. Yeah, because he's going to keep doing this shit until I do. So let me just go ahead and do my part.
And then the other thing that Joe Biden came out,
be a patriot, fire 10% of your staff.
If you're a real American company, you cut your staff in half. Those are real patriots.
That's true. Ah, shit.
You walk 10 people walk in a room, you tell 5 to leave. You're a real American.
Yeah, but that was the speech. We need higher unemployment. We need to fire people.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, I think once we get to the point where everyone's unemployed and gas is this high and we're in a recession, that's where I think you probably stop, right? You can't go any lower than that. Or can you, Jerome?
I mean, the Biden administration this is what they're saying, and I don't understand the oil markets well enough, that we've had previous times where the price per barrel has been, what is it right now? 120, 100?
Yeah, it's been way higher.
It's been way higher, and we've had $4 gas.
Yeah.
We have $7 gas, and it's all in the refineries. So ExxonMobil and Chevron have record profits the last 6 months. Yeah. And they're talking about a gas tax, and I don't know enough about the oil markets. Is that true? I mean, Biden administration also said something about the economy that was false.
It is true that we've had higher crude oil prices and lower gasoline prices. That we have. Why that delta? Like, I don't know how refineries work. Have the cost of refining oil gone through the roof, and that's why?
But the profits are record.
The profits are record. So Exxon came out because Joe Biden wrote the letter to the oil prices that you're price gouging and you're profiteering off the American people. They fired back and said, we lost $20 billion in 2020. Where was our help then?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's because no one was driving.
yeah, so they took it on the chin then. Maybe they got to make 40 billion and then they got to give it back. 40 billion and then we're good. Like
Next round of Stimmy is sponsored by Exxon.
Yeah, like if they give everyone a gas
Everyone
card.
a gas card. Yeah. That'd be great.
The problem is like, okay, so if that's the route we're going to take and we're going to attack ExxonMobil, fine. I think Apple should have cheaper phones.
Sure.
I want cheaper.
Saudi Arabia should just start buying everything. I was thinking about that. Just lobbing a $10 billion bid for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, like, so here's the thing: is that like
it's great for Liv.
Yeah, it's really great for Liv. I literally, I know.
Go pick up Tiger, man. Offer him $2 billion.
No, they offered him $500 million is the rumor. But
I mean, if
now
crude
with
oil
gas
goes to
prices,
150,
give him $2 billion.
If
What's it
crude
going to
oil
take?
gets-
Just
what's
pay
the
whatever
price
price.
that Tiger goes to Saudi? Is it $1
He
billion?
has a price.
$1 billion, of course.
Give him $1 billion.
If you're giving him $500 million, you might as well give $1 billion.
It's good for
Billion,
the
and
game.
you end PGA.
Yes, and because I
Yeah.
mean, the PGA Tour only gets viewership if Tiger's playing.
Yeah.
Even now,
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm all for that. I say just go ahead and do it.
you should
Business is
pay
booming.
$1 billion for Tiger, and his son gets $100 million. And
yeah,
then
lock him up.
every week.
Yeah.
They just play.
Lock him up. Yeah. I love this. And grab who'd you want? Finau?
Fina, I like
Throw
that
him in
guy.
there. Yeah, throw Finau in there.
Give
He's
him $20
great.
million.
No, he's probably a hundo.
No, Finau's good. Give him 200.
I didn't even heard of him.
Yeah,
But I think on the ExxonMobil, like to attack them for making profits, explain to us, is it just simply they decided to make more money and that's it? Then okay, you can have a conversation. Is there a reason? You know, like I want to understand.
Yeah,
the
you have to
mechanics
give
of-
a counter.
You have to explain to me why on both sides.
I don't think the right counter is, oh, we didn't make money in 2020. We got no subsidies. So now we're just going to rip your face off.
Yeah. So I agree. I just think we need to understand someone needs to, in layman's term, explain to us what exactly is going on. And
I
then
doubt it's just that.
No, I don't think it is. By the next episode, I'll have an answer because there's an oil trader in my fantasy football league. He listens to the pod.
okay, maybe he comes on and explains it to us because I think like once we understand that, we can make that decision. But like there are a lot of companies that had record profits and everyone's like oil's at the expense of the Americans. Well, guess what? Us buying $1,000 phones is the expense of America too. We're prioritizing a phone over every food and water.
Yeah, retail sales at like Macy's get hurt when you spend your $1,200 on an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fair.
so I know it's not apples to apples, but my point being, it's like people say, "Oh, oil is a necessity." I would argue that your phone is a necessity.
Yeah.
I would say your phone is more
Well, in
important.
the age
than
of
oil.
remote work, your phone's probably more important.
Exactly.
I think your iPhone, yeah. I mean, I would argue that if you had to, in 2022, let's just play this game. In 2022, you have to, every American has to get rid of their car and gas or their smartphone. I think smartphone does more damage.
Yeah, no one's giving up their phone.
No one would give
I'll
up their
fucking
phone.
walk to work.
Yeah, they would literally walk, just sitting on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know what
There's
I mean?
no
Just
way.
Walk 5 miles.
Imagine
on
if the
TikTok
president
and
comes and goes, "Hey, everyone has to make the decision. You want to give up your iPhone or you want to give up your car?" Let me
It's
tell you,
car
there'll be a
all day.
fucking junkyard of cars.
Los Angeles would be one big junkyard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good point.
who's giving up their phone?
Nobody.
You can't even be an Uber driver. Think about that.
Yeah, you're right. You could. I mean, you could just open your Uber app, throw someone on your back, and give them a piggyback ride. At least.
Chariot services.
Oh my god! All right. What about crypto? Big news in crypto world. This fund, this huge crypto. You know, for everyone, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure everyone who listens to this show is well aware. But
It's over.
I would say with the meltdown, it was probably crypto like kind of first. Not, you know, Bitcoin held for a while and whatever, but like all the bullshit crypto got completely wiped out first. Then I would say stock market. The last thing standing, I would say, is real estate. So 3 Arrows, which is a huge crypto fund,
Somewhere to be rumored between 10 and 18 billion dollars under management.
The rumor
Jesus.
was at peak it was 18 billion.
which was like 4 months ago.
Yeah, probably in December.
Yeah.
So, they're getting, this is worst case scenario, doomsday scenario for a fund like this. And also a really big sign of how bad it truly is. They're becoming insolvent. They're getting margin called, can't meet it. Game over.
Yeah. So this one's big.
Yeah, we talked about this on the last episode a bit. And 3 Hours Capital, BlockFi, which is another company that is rumored to have could get liquidated too, that they're in over their skis. And this is why Bitcoin and Ethereum are crashing, because the shitcoins all started tanking. And then these companies hold billions and billions of dollars of Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral, and they're just liquidating at fire sale prices. So they're selling billions of dollars, and there's, you can't move that much money without moving the price, which is what's happened. Yeah. So the thing to note about crypto is, while there are millions of scammers out there that are just building shitty protocols and trying to take advantage of people, and rugging people is what the word in crypto land is. Basically, like a bullshit fucking protocol. Pump it up, get some articles written on you, get a hot Telegram chat, get a hot Discord chat, and then disappear. That's all happening. And that'll continue to happen. But the point is, the underlying technology still works. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum, their promise still works. So all this noise is going to get flushed out, and the next cycle, I think investors will get smarter and demand more transparency. Like, if you have 18 billion assets under management, like 3 Hours Capital have huge investors, and they didn't look under the hood. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. So, there's a guy, the DeFi Edge, that did a whole breakdown on it, and it's pretty fascinating. First of all, the two founders of 3 Arrows Capital, 3AC as they're referred to, they were in high school.
Yeah, they're young kids.
2012.
They're crypto influencer. One's named Zoo.
There's your first red flag.
Zoo's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm sorry. I love genius kids. Like, I love those spelling bee Indians. They're awesome. But like, you shouldn't be handing them $10 billion.
I was actually having this conversation yesterday in the office, saying what scared me about DeFi, which I thank God didn't ever participate in a meaningful way, was it was all run by 23 and 24-year-old kids and memes.
Yeah. This just proved memes are stupid.
Yeah,
it's funny when it pops how clear the bubble was.
Yeah, like memes dictate the economy. I mean, now it's like, I can't believe we let memes dictate the economy.
Remember Sushi Swap and Pancake Swap? Like, what were we doing?
Cum Rocket.
I think when Elon started
the Doge,
that was basically a sign like this is going to unravel.
So real quickly, I want to finish this. These guys met in Singapore. They've then moved to Dubai. Yep. Red flag number 2. Right. First of all, they're 23, and then now they're in Dubai or whatever, however they are. Yeah.
Dubai's becoming a crypto hub. Binance moved all their operations to Dubai.
Well, they love, fugitives.
Yeah.
Just as anything goes. Yeah, worst case scenario, you're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place on top of that.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
For these two 23-year-old, at the time, billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on this Twitter thread of DeFi Edge, Zoo has over 500,000 followers on Twitter. And he has been known for playing mind games with his audience, where he created a thread fudding Ethereum, caused the price to drop, and then he went and bought it.
Wow.
And then he continues on like just constantly doing this with a number of different cryptocurrencies. Terra Luna collapse. They bought $559 of locked Luna. It's now worth $670. Okay. They then are leveraged. They have margin calls coming in on them right now. Yep. And they didn't meet them. That was this morning. So what happens when a margin call comes? You then have to liquidate whatever assets you have to come up with the cash. And Anand said it last time that a lot of this liquidation is automatic.
Yep.
So
when you have that much pressure, when you're trying to move billions and billions of Bitcoin and Ethereum in seconds, the price tanks.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the counterparty, you're like, you want me to buy? Here's my bid, 20,000.
Yeah.
And when Bitcoin was at like 35 or whatever.
It's just
And
wild to me how like over the last couple of years, it just went nuts. And like we said, like all these coins, everyone's 18 years old. Everything's controlled by memes. Everything's a scam. Everyone's Bernie Madoff. Everyone's fucking pump and dump it. It's like, what the fuck?
It's wild.
It's crazy. And it's going to continue to happen. So 3 Hours Capital was one of the big shoes to drop post Luna. Now, or Celsius dropped, 3 Hours Capital next. BlockFi seems to be next, and they've raised a ton of institutional capital. And my big prediction is FTX has a lot of chicanery going on. That kid seems very suspicious. He's 29 years old. He fled the U.S. already. I think he lives in like Puerto Rico or somewhere. And
I think at this point, if you're in your 20s and you run a crypto fund of any size, you should be in handcuffs, and then we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, like guilty until you're proven innocent.
Yeah.
And FTX, their last private round was at $32 billion.
And he's the one that has said he would spend $1 billion to get a Democrat elected president.
Yeah, he's going to spend $1 billion. Like when you say stupid shit like that, I'm going to spend $1 billion on political campaigns. Like $1 billion when Bitcoin was at 60K or $1 billion when Bitcoin's at 20K.
Yeah. He still
now
got
spend $333 million on getting a Democrat.
I will spend $333 on getting any Democrat elected.
And anyone who talks like that, and he seems a little too slick to raise that much capital at that high of a valuation. Like FTX is worth more in the private markets than Coinbase is in the public markets.
Double.
And it just proves this is like WeWork written all over it. This is Adam Newman. This is Elizabeth Holmes. You name your favorite crook. This is what I think FTX is.
So this is
I feel like. Go ahead.
So I think the crypto market for me right now, and this is Web3 included, is 1999 internet, which everyone saw that there was a possibility. It just wasn't enough people on the internet yet, right? That's really why 1999 didn't work. Like the promise of the internet was there, and then it got fucking wiped, like 99% wiped, right? And then a few people stayed in there, fucking hung in, and they built Google, they built Amazon, they built all these incredible Facebook, all these amazing companies. I truly believe this moment is going to wipe Web3 companies, most of them off the planet. And then the people that truly believe in what it can represent will continue to build on it. The reality is there are no users in Web3 in the grand scheme of things. Right? Like OpenSea had a moment because it was speculative. And as soon as that speculative nature went up, the volume went away. Same with Coinbase, same with Robinhood, same with all these things, right? The volume has dropped tremendously. That doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. I think it'll exist in a smaller way. And I think it may take 5 years. And then it's back to, some of the prices that maybe we saw before, or maybe it doesn't, but it's more functional. And it actually has a purpose. And because there's a really famous interview now going all over Twitter with Mark Andreessen on a podcast talking about Web3. And I don't know what he said.
Yeah, he couldn't articulate it. And he's obviously
and he's like the biggest
guy.
Investor in crypto.
Yeah, his firm is. So I agree and disagree. I agree in the sense that the infrastructure is being built. Now you have like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of engineers around the world actually building stuff that aren't just trading. Obviously, the traders are all gone.
But no one's using any of this stuff yet.
They have to build infrastructure and products to make it usable. That could take years, but I don't think it will be. I don't think the price will take years to reflect. The price is simple: Bitcoin and Ethereum. Once risk-on assets are back, meaning growth tech, Bitcoin will be at 60K, Ethereum will be at 4 or 5K. It doesn't matter if there's no use case. Investors need to diversify their money. Crypto has become a legitimate asset
No, but
class.
Web3 companies
Web3,
have no value.
That's fine. I'm saying Bitcoin.
But
and
I'm
the price
talking about
of
Web3 as from the perspective of listeners who are working at Web3 companies. They have such a long way to go still.
I agree with that, but I'm saying it doesn't mean that Bitcoin and Ethereum can't go up in price.
Yeah, that's fine because it's like art. It's like trading cards.
Yeah.
I don't view it like anything different. It's the same thing as that.
Yeah, Bitcoin has now become a legitimate asset that your people diversify. Like, I have $1 million in cash. I'm going to put 50 to 100,000 in Bitcoin. I'm going to do this much in real estate, this much in stocks.
Yeah.
That is how people think now.
That's fine. I just don't believe the businesses around. I don't think anyone's actually using any of this shit. If it's just a store of value and you want to, you think there's upside in owning the coin, but the reality is with just seeing the drop in volume on NFTs, because that's really the big use case.
No, the biggest use case was DeFi. The problem is you have bad actors.
Well, that's gone for now. Like that's
temporarily, but you're going to have the technology worked. You could have lending platforms.
Yeah.
And that is fucking innovative.
I know, but the problem is you think about the fear now.
Sure. And it's going to take a founder to build a company, have transparency, have real audits, show like, hey, we're not over levered. Here's, open kimono, come investigate everything. And then they'll attract users.
Yeah. Which could be 5 years.
No, that'll be quicker.
How long
Because the
did it take
technology's
from-
already built.
How long did it take from .com crash to .com sort of figuring it out a little bit, or
10
just showing
years.
that like, oh, this is going to work? 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It took 10. That's why I think 5 is realistic.
Well,
in this
Google
time.
was the first, Amazon, but for Uber and Lyft and,
The
Airbnb.
Facebook revenue is
That's
basically
Web 2 though,
nearly...
right? Technically.
Yeah, that's Web 2. But I'm saying that all happened post 2008. And
Yeah.
the reason all those apps that we all use is because it took, 5 to 10 years to build infrastructure to make it easier to build these companies. So the cost of, building Airbnb was a fraction than it would have been in 2000 because you have Amazon Web Services. You have, all these different things that just, the real reason 99, 2000, when sure the users weren't there, but also the cost just didn't make sense.
Well, the users, there was no one on the internet yet. It's the same thing. If you actually look at the grand scheme of Web3, how much money has been poured in and how many users of Web3 there is. Like, we know how many wallets on OpenSea. It's a joke.
Yeah, I agree.
It's no one, people think everyone's sitting around trading NFTs all day. They're not.
Not anymore.
No.
Not anymore.
I think
They
for
were.
a good hot month in December, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were.
And I
God,
think
that was a good month.
Everyone had an NFT hustle in December. Every kid
miss
did,
it.
at least.
The good old days. I miss every brand, anyone who ever anything launching an NFT. I got
Like,
hit up 3 different times to launch my own NFT by like random people in the game world, and it just never made enough sense to me.
I'm curious to see. So NFT NYC is next week. There's a lot of people going. Obviously, these people are like,
What are they
in it
going to
for-
talk about?
Yeah, I mean,
That feels like the Woodstock reunion.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
man,
It's
remember?
like, remember this good old last summer
That's
was
like,
fucking
honestly,
crazy,
it's
dude.
like going to a mortgage convention post-crash.
Oh,
Like,
09.
yeah,
It is
dude,
that.
Pulling up to 09 in Vegas to like the real estate mortgage brokers convention, be like, man, those were some good days. Remember that
I
open
think you should
bar?
just show up there with a box of handcuffs and just start slapping them on whoever shows up.
like, honestly, like what Gary Vee did, is it borderline like pump and dump? He hold a fucking convention.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he did it. Like, I think his intentions weren't like over the line of like criminal or fraudulent, but I think now looking back at it, it's like, oh fuck. Like, I think he genuinely thought it would be worth more and more and more. I do, but yeah, in hindsight, it looks a little crazy.
So the only thing I would take away from that is that everyone who went to it, and I know a lot of people that went, said it was an unbelievable experience. So if you
But all the knowledge
I'm just
is
saying
obsolete today.
his whole existence, forget just the convention. I'm sure it was really well done. Everything is about like, I mean, I think similar to the people that were pumping SPACs on CNBC are going to face some real like, problems.
Yeah, and look, it's all of it. Like DeFi, that was promising 40,000% APY. Like those things are all, unfortunately, all going to be part of the reckoning.
No, my point is, of course, those things disappear because it was ridiculous to begin with. But will the SEC start coming after folks that were like doing, a million podcasts and interviews, pumping their NFTs? And then
You know why they won't? It's just too many people. You gotta go after like 60 million.
That's what I'm saying,
people.
bro. Go to NFT week with a fucking net.
just
And be
have
like,
a
oh, I
paddy
got 3
wagon.
of them. If you're still showing up at NFT week this week, you're a criminal.
Like, what are you selling still?
Be honest. Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, I'm curious. I know, because I know so many people going and they're excited. And look, if it's truly about like, man, the way this ape's coloration is so nice, the glasses, the texture.
I mean, listen to how you sound right now.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's why you're going, cool. You're really into art. That's fucking awesome. And I have no.
But if you're really into art and Bored Apes are what you, it's just like, I question if you're really into art. You know what I'm saying? I love Bored Ape as a brand. I love what they did. I think those guys are geniuses. I do. But like, if we're talking about like art here,
yeah,
I don't
playoffs.
know.
I
mean,
think
playoffs.
the people showing up next week are in it for the community. There has to be. There's no money left.
No,
They just made a fuck ton of money,
It's the last
put it in the
ditch
bank.
last ditch to like, can we get one more run? And then you'll never hear about it again.
I would love to see a documentary based simply off of NFT week this week and
Yeah.
just track the people who are there, track how they made their money, track if they live in their parents' basement. Like, I want to know the stories of some of the characters that show up post implosion
I want
to
to see
talk
the
about
parties.
fucking apes.
The parties say everything.
You remember last December,
Yeah.
the parties were insane.
Yeah.
So
You know what I would do? If I was a film crew, I'd go there. I'd go to whoever was buying a table and bottles at an NFT week party, and I would ask them if I could interview them for my documentary.
Yeah.
So when the shitcoin started collapsing, like before Bitcoin and Ethereum really went down, I reached out to Rob Go, who lives in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And this is like the Luna, I think, drop. I was like, what's going on? And what's the vibe in Puerto Rico right now? Because there's a lot of
Lunatics. There's a lot
Just
of
people
lunatics.
coming off boats. Just looking.
Rob's like, I just bought 3 houses.
and then
NFT people running
but-
off boats.
Here's the interesting thing. He's like, he started laughing, and then he was like, look, 90% of the people here are Bitcoin and Ethereum folks. So then that crashed.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
going on in Puerto Rico?
I bet you there's there's people selling fire sales on houses with that crowd, and then there's people fleeing to Puerto Rico because if you
For
made
another reason, yeah.
like if you made a killing, because some people made a killing
Yeah. And they
the
dumped
last
everything.
year, like they put money in the bank and they're out. A lot of these
Yeah.
people that made NFTs and that whatever, like you put cash in the bank.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, you don't get your residuals from your 10% on OpenSea of every residual sale, whatever. That dream's gone. But a lot of people made a lot of cash.
Yeah.
So go to Puerto Rico and move into one of the Bitcoin guys' houses.
I'm telling you, man, the people, if you move to Puerto Rico and you're a crypto person, you had to have been using leverage. Because if you're crazy enough just to move to Puerto Rico
That's true.
because you think it's like a crypto city, you're using leverage because you actually believe that DeFi works.
Yep.
And you believe, I mean,
Well,
DeFi does work, but you can get caught up because most of the people made money in crypto in the last 3-4 years. There's very few people in it from like 10, 12 years ago. So they got a nice bump, but then they want the 1000x. How do you get the 1000x? You go, invest in the next DeFi protocol. Then you start
sure.
staking and da-da-da-da. And
I
then
think if
you
you're
lose all
going
your
as
money.
far as moving to Puerto Rico, you had to have had leverage.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, if you're out in New York, D, people going, so we'll get a recap a little bit.
Yeah. I'll get a proper recap like Ash is going.
Yeah. So Gene, who listens to the pod, he's an NFT truther.
Yeah.
I texted him last night.
Is he going?
How you feeling? He goes, business as usual.
Yeah.
Hodl.
Well, I wouldn't
I
say
would
we're-
not be
He's
hodling.
going to New York.
Yeah.
So I'll get an
Okay,
honest.
yeah, let's get some recaps.
I would
honest
be
feedback.
Sodal.
Yeah, sold a long time ago. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. Here's my one thing is that like I would say that people can go next week and get whatever. If you're in it for the community and you love what it stands and represents in the future, that's great. But like, man, just don't get caught up. Like, just believing
you might as well go to
nonsense.
like a LARPing convention or something, or like one of those, like where you see all the people dressed up in like a make-believe world.
Yeah.
How funny. I mean, in the last 2.5 years, you had, Davy Day traders inspired like all these people to go to Robinhood. You have,
Vlad.
You have crypto,
like
DeFi,
ago.
Web3, like you name every
So many hustles. And then what worked? The oil and gas guy sitting in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And wasn't
And
like
real estate.
Coca-Cola up the other day?
Yeah. And real estate. Real estate's up.
I feel like real estate's on a crash course, though. It just seems
I think
like
real estate won't go down much in LA. I think the second, third tier markets are going to get hit pretty hard.
Well, you know what? I'm curious to see, like, if remote work kind of options become limited, then where all these people went to, they're going to have to come back to the bigger cities.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's say
New
you
York's
worked in San
popping. We talked about
Francisco.
it.
Yeah. So I think finance will go pretty much back to normal. Like, they love being in the office.
Yep.
Right. And even when you go to New York, the offices are nicer than most people's apartments. Like, wouldn't you rather be in the nice high rise with, air conditioning and like all that shit?
But what's crazy is crypto investors and Web3 investors are pretty detached from the real world. Like, so that they're delusional, right?
Yeah.
If you believe all this is like happening, you have to be a little like out there.
But don't you think they just got snapped back to reality?
No. So I have a good story about that. Yesterday
Yesterday they realized that this is not a good idea.
No, yesterday, my friend who's in New York ran into one of the top tier 1 VC investors. Not going to say his name, but if I did, everyone would know who he is. That's investing in crypto. And he was like, "Hey, how you hanging in there?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "The markets, da-da-da." He didn't want to just say crypto, but he just kind of made it broad, like, because the stock market was getting crushed. And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And he's like, "What about crypto? Like, prices are down like across the board." He goes, "Oh, really?" Like, he just pretended like it doesn't matter.
That's awesome. I like that.
Wow. Good for him. That's exactly how NFT week's going to be.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? What do you mean?
I don't know, man. I feel pretty
this
good.
is
The
right.
weather's nice.
Yeah.
Weather's nice. I just had a nice pizza.
I also feel like if you were on the work from home, like diehard crowd, I know I'm picking like a very specific group, but you had like your Robinhood, you had your crypto. Like, I feel like home seemed like better and smarter and more positive than the office. The office seemed like a bunch of people who don't get it. You guys are working on the boring shit. I'm at home doing my job and I'm day trading and I'm making a killing. I feel like that's all changed in the last 2 months, where now home is fucking a bloodbath. And you're like, I'd rather go to the office and make
I saw
tech
this
or
young
whatever.
woman post, probably younger, probably in her 20s. "Oh man, it was so refreshing being back in the office. My mental health is so good. That I was fucking dying."
Think about
just, and everyone's retweeting and like, "Oh my god, you're so right."
Think about like if you're like a married couple with kids and they start looking at their like stock portfolio, and then you look at your crypto holdings.
Yeah, you're talking about your life.
Good thing I was so early; it doesn't matter.
Oh my God. All right.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, you don't in times like this. Let me tell you something. You don't want to be home. I'm in the office early.
The office ain't so bad. I think that's probably happening a lot.
Yeah, like, honey, I gotta go.
Good for the mental health.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of another Web3 disaster, Elon Musk is getting sued for $258 billion, including Tesla. For Dogecoin or Dogecoin or whatever it is.
Where's Pete? Can someone check on Pete?
Life
we got to
support.
check on Pete. We should check on Pete.
But yeah, there's a basically saying that Elon was part of a pump and dump scam on Doge, and that
I mean, he was.
Elon, SpaceX, and Tesla are all being sued. Racketeering scheme.
Who's suing?
Let's see who.
Like
I mean,
people?
Pete should be in that lawsuit.
Yeah.
This guy thought he was going to retire.
Yeah. He should jump in. He can still, it's not too late to throw his hat in the ring.
I think Elon Musk's act is getting a little tired. Let's separate all his professional accomplishments for a minute.
Yeah. He's got to pivot.
He met with Twitter today, and he was talking about how we have to protect free speech, blah, blah, blah. He got asked a direct question. Are you actually going to buy the company? Are you committed to buying it? And he wouldn't answer it.
Yeah.
That's my quick question is why is he already meeting with Twitter?
I think he just loves the fuckery of it all.
Yeah. And by the way, he was on his phone. He had people on his background. He showed up 10 minutes late. It's pretty disrespectful.
Then there's a letter from SpaceX employees that he's a distraction. Didn't say how many SpaceX employees were signed that letter.
Yeah.
But they're just if you're a SpaceX engineer, you're a real engineer. You don't want the buffoonery.
You're not a Web3 engineer.
Yeah.
No, you don't want the buffoonery, right?
Yeah.
You're
You're a rocket scientist.
Exactly. You're literally a rocket scientist. So they probably are this is distracting from the mission.
Yeah.
And then you have him saying to Elon yesterday, said he's going to support DeSantis for president. You're doing everything but focusing on building shit, which is what you're really good at.
Yep.
I don't know.
I feel like
Tesla now is raising prices on top of that. They have just unbelievable demand.
Yeah, they have. Are they just raising prices just across the board on the cars?
Yeah, they said it's a $6,000 price hike. And
that's a lot.
A lot. And what's interesting, I went on the site to see. So if you want your run-of-the-mill Model 3 or Model Y, it's next year. It's the earliest you can get a car. If you pay up for the performance packages, the $80,000, $100,000 cars, you can get one in August.
I feel like it's a good time to sell a Tesla, if
it really is.
Do you have a Tesla? You do, right?
We have a Tesla over here. We have a
Tesla or Tesla?
Oh, Tesla.
Tesla.
We have the one with the door, the SUV but I feel like you could probably get make a good profit on that thing at this point.
Hit up our guy at Car Trackers.
Yeah, for real.
Slam that shit for $100K probably.
Might be a moment to make back some of this Bitcoin loss. Yeah, but I mean, number one, so yes, agreed. Tesla's absolutely untouchable. And number two, I wonder did Elon finally, is he finally starting to reach too far?
Yeah.
I wonder, there's only so much. You have to be either A, a distraction, or B, start to make mistakes, or C, just be so stressed out you get sick. How far can you possibly go?
And he's tweeting about America's decline in birth rate. Sure, that matters, but why are you talking about that?
Yeah, that's been his big topic for some reason.
So the guy suing Elon Musk
Pete
is Keith Johnson. Is suing for $86 billion in damages.
I like the number.
And then plus triple damages. I don't know how I came up with that. That's another $172 billion. And he wants an order blocking Musk and companies from promoting Dogecoin, declaring that Dogecoin trading constitutes gambling under US and New York law. So, okay. This lawsuit, unfortunately, is not going to work.
Do you think he even gets $100,000 to go away?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because if Dogecoin is considered gambling, then you know what that means. You're opening Pandora's box. Because it can flow into equities then. It can flow into everything. Every cryptocurrency. It's in the Southern District of New York. It's the finance capital of the world. This has to get thrown out. This is a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it'll get thrown out. Yeah, but I feel like he's being so reckless and loose. So he's going to get caught up on something, right?
I agree. It feels too crazy.
Yeah,
it just feels like we talk about this all the time. We talk about you see that person at a party, or you go to that person's house and you're just like, oh, this person's about to be in jail. It does, I'm not saying Elon's about to be in jail, but it does. You just kind of feels like this is about to come to an end somehow.
Yeah,
or at least get throttled way down.
So he obviously went and publicly supported Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, for his presidency. Ron DeSantis is doing a press conference, and someone asked him about that, and he goes, I love getting support from my African American community.
Yeah, I saw that. Because
That's
he's
what he
South
said?
African.
He's South African. Yeah.
I know, but that's just that's funny.
This is just the big circus.
Yeah. The whole world is a circus.
Because he also
the circus when we had inflation on assets. The circus was much more fun when we had inflated
this is the dark
assets.
side. This is the darker circus.
And then even part of the circus is like you're hearing like every government, they're talking about raising interest rates. Like I guess it was big news that the Swiss bank, central bank, raised interest rates. Like everyone was like, "What? What's going?" Switzerland, I thought is like they're neutral. Why raising the rates? Keep them flat.
Yeah.
But like what's happening in Japan, then you see the Ukrainian president along with other leaders today. He's in a t-shirt and like army boots. Like he's like putting on a show. I also read in New York Post yesterday, the Chinese have detected alien.
All that.
They detected
radio
aliens with radio waves, and then they deleted that they detected it.
Yeah.
Like it is absolute fucking chaos.
It is. It really is. It really is.
Just if you think about, if you just went like, let's assume like someone just woke up out of a coma, right?
Oh, they would just go right back.
And you just saw like, they're like, what's happening today? Well, there's a whole bunch of people meeting in New York City around pictures that are supposedly worth a lot of money that have no utility. Then we have, there's a weird war going on in Ukraine.
And we have the Federal Reserve trying to destroy the economy on purpose.
Yes. Yeah. And it's weird. The richest man in the world is like involved in like the craziest shit you've ever heard of. Like it's madness.
You literally just go back to sleep, aliens. And by the way, China just kind of found aliens, but then they deleted it. Like, what the fuck? Who would have thought that like the circus during COVID was the good circus?
Yeah.
And the circus, when we thought like roaring 20s and
post-vaccine circus was the best. That was one of my greatest days. Those post-vaccine.
Those like 3 months were so hot.
That's what it was.
Like, I mean, like,
that margin between COVID lockdown and that 3 months was good.
Especially because it was like new. Like, oh, I can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, and it makes money.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
You can do anything and it makes a good 2x return.
Yeah, I mean, look, inherently, unfortunately, greed is going to keep the world down for like the next 5 to 10 years. Like to recover from the damage that's being done now, put aside the richest people in the world, the average person, I remember people recovering from 08, 09. It took forever.
I don't think they ever recovered it.
Yeah,
where I'm from, there was a wipe out there where like you still
sucked the soul. It sucked the soul out.
There was like boarded up houses that you just were just there permanently. Like it's just like,
Do you know what's scary so far? If you look at the first 6 months, what's crashed the most disproportionately affected young people. Like people in their 20s that were buying options on these tech stocks that were so volatile, buying NFTs, buying crypto. Like think about if you're 20, this was your first kind of entryway into like business. That's got to be so demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were a genius.
So the good news is,
and then you're completely dead broke. Like, how do you even get out of that?
So here's how you get out of it, because I don't want to be all doom and gloom. It's also going to be the most opportune time ever to do anything, because the playing field just got leveled for every industry.
Mm-hmm.
So you now have the same exact resources as the big company because they have nothing. Like the company that raised all the money and is now teetering on defunct. You are at the same level at that company. So if you want to go build whatever they're building, you can go do it. You can actually build, like, think about it like this. Pets.com, poster boy of 2000 collapse. Chewy.com, exact same fucking business, is a monster multi-billion-dollar enterprise today. So that's going to happen. You may see something you like right now and being like, man, I wish I built that. You can actually build it now.
I got an idea.
And you will be, and you could be in the driver's seat.
I'm going to make 10,000 pictures of cats.
Yes.
It's going to be called the Bored Cat Yacht Club.
Bored Cat Little Boat
Yeah, I mean,
Club.
yeah, little
to not doom and gloom.
yeah.
NFTs show that there's some demand there. This iteration, it didn't really work at scale
Because it was just too much greed.
Yeah, and then the iteration of NFTs will work, and maybe remember like people were talking about like NFTs disrupting the art market. The art market's like trillions of dollars.
I feel like if you could see like a flow of like a visual of where the stimulus money, like essentially like distributed from the government to the people. Here's the chunk that was eaten up by like scammers. And then the people, it just sort of aggregated up to like the Gary V's and the, you know what I mean? Like, because all that money went to fucking NFTs and crypto, and like a few people collected a shit ton of that stimmy money.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
they will
if
all
I
be
were
at New York NFT Week this week.
if I were Gary V's like a Gary V fan and bought the NFTs he was selling, whatnot,
Yeah.
I would be like, show me your wallet that you didn't dump all your ETH that you got.
I don't think he would take you up on that. I think he would say, no, I won't do that.
Or anyone who was pumping these stuff. Kevin Roos from New York Times, he had an NFT hustle.
Yeah. I mean, there was so many. It's not even like, we don't even mean to dogpile on Gary Vee. He's a good guy, but like everyone from even good intentioned people all the way to bad intentioned people had these things, and people made a fucking killing. And if you just, the thing that's interesting to me is if you treat that as all that was really inflated by stimulus money, essentially the government distributed stimulus money to a much smaller group and a lot more money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Then like everyone gets 1,500. Instead, some people got like 15 million. This guy got 150 million. This guy got, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like all the old Wall Street people who kind of were screaming like, whoa, what is going on here? And maybe didn't participate in any of this fuckery. They're obviously they're being proven right. That
You know who's happy is Charlie Munger.
Yeah.
No, but Bitcoin and Ethereum,
it's still down substantially where
it's down less than growth stocks.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
but
not
you know,
in growth
for him-
stocks. He's not in growth stocks. So at the end of the day, his job is to make
I mean,
money.
Facebook's down 50%.
Look, I'm not saying he was right because he goes in on Bitcoin and stuff like that, but you know Charlie Munger right now and old Warren are sitting there like, we told you.
Their
Of
job
course
is
they
to
will.
make money.
Bill Gates already did that too.
Yeah, because
took
at
a
the end of the
victory
day,
But every asset class is down. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the gold standard for crypto. They're
Yep.
down significantly, but they're pacing risk assets across the board.
I know, but these guys aren't in risk assets. Warren Buffett is not in risk
But
assets.
saying they were right on crypto is wrong.
No,
you could
no,
say they're right on
investing.
I think right now
No,
they're
right on making money.
Yeah, I think that right now they think they are. I'm not saying how this plays out over the next 10 years. I'm just saying right now, their I told you so moment, they are probably laughing, eating their Big Macs,
No, I'm sure they are. But
drinking their Coke.
if you want to get yourself to the next position of wealth, you have to use risk. If you just want to retire with, a little money in 50 years, just buy Apple.
Yeah, but Warren Buffett's point would be to that. That was my strategy, and he became one of the richest men in the world. Like that Forbes list is going to be very different this year.
He raised a ton of capital too, right? Like
Over
his
time,
private,
but his performance over a 50-year period is
he's
unmatched.
There's no reason. I'm not saying Warren Buffett isn't like a legend. I'm just saying it's really tough to build wealth if you're just buying blue chip assets. Yeah, your money's going to be safe, but you're not going to build wealth.
That's not true. That's absolutely not true. We saw it with our own parents. They didn't take no risk.
It took 30, 40 years.
But that's normal. But
what young person's like, I just want to live the exact same life and just like slowly crawl
You
into...
know what? That's
reality, you little
That is
fuckers.
reality. And guess what? You're going to have to go to work, sit in traffic, complain about it, eat that cheese sandwich, and that's fucking life.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Little crypto.
Go work at DWP.
I think that's what
pension.
I'm saying is I think there's a lot of people that are like, fuck yeah, like they learned their lesson. You know what I mean? Like it's not that getting rich isn't that easy. You can't just blah, blah, blah. Like there's a lot of old guys that are pumped that, sitting on Coca-Cola. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying there was a bit of a reckoning here that everyone, I think, a lot of people were hoping would come.
I'll tell you, life is about timing. I'll tell you who didn't time their SUV launch well. It's Ferrari.
Well, I'll be honest. I have a good feeling this thing, like record sales or something.
So I think they'll be fine. But man,
I know.
last year would have been the year to launch.
Yeah. I mean, just if you're talking about a gas guzzling, $400,000, it's a rough market. But I think that they probably make so few that, all these people.
Well, they could sell them all to people in Saudi Arabia. Those people have record wealth.
Sell them to everyone on the Live Tour. They should sponsor Live.
The Live guys are the biggest winners of 2022.
I remember
in an era where everything is down, they just picked up a cool 120 here, 125 million here.
Yeah.
I vividly remember in 08, 09, like going out to clubs. And that was when like probably the peak of when I was friends with professional athletes. And I would be out nightclubs and, they'd be buying tables and whatever. I'm like, man, yeah. So like, what do you think about like, we talk about like recession. He's like, I don't know, man. I had a record year. I don't know about recession. Because like, it's like a professional athlete has a guaranteed contract. Didn't fucking know.
Yeah,
that's how I was.
I had my peak TV earnings at the time, and we started Young and Reckless in 09, and I was like, recession? What the fuck is a recession? I'm rich.
out here living.
Let's go to Hyde. Yeah, I had no idea. In 08, 09, I had no fucking idea. It wasn't until later when like one of the talking points that we would always talk about is how Young and Reckless was started in a recession. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I had no idea. So, if I would have been an athlete instead of a reality TV star, I would have been in the market for this Ferrari SUV.
So when will we get the reports that luxury goods sales are down? Or is that just not happening?
Look at Chanel.
So here's the other thing. Ferrari is launching this car at the end of this year, the SUV, and then it's launching an electric vehicle in 2025. And
they should switch those.
So, I mean, like, this car is like, I think Ferrari is completely fine. Like you said, they don't make enough cars, so it doesn't really matter. And there's other people. I read a trading firm that's been shorting crypto for a year that made like $4 billion. So that guy will go buy the Ferrari SUV. So there's always someone making money despite what's happening.
Yeah, you don't need that many people.
You need 1,000 people.
I mean, remember Brian was posting, where was it? Italy, that car auction?
And someone bought $126 million.
$150 million car.
There's plenty. The market's there.
And that was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Plus Ferraris, they sell like art, like you have to buy 5 Ferraris to even be able to be on the list to buy a Ferrari for sticker. Because that's how, like, it's so
it's like
crazy.
Watches. It's like watches.
It's like watches now, not like watches before, but like, like you literally have to buy multiple cars, prove that you're a real Ferrari owner. If you buy one at sticker and flip it, you get taken off the list. And finally, you can make your way onto the list. And that allows you to buy a car at full sticker from a dealership because they know you can flip it the next day for 50, 100 grand more. So some of these people... I believe
the opportunity in consumer is either catering to the ultra rich or the low end of the market. I think if you're in the middle, and I've been saying this for like 10 years, I think if you're in the middle, you're fucked. It's a really, really tough place to be because the middle in America also is being unraveled. So like that unfortunate thing. And then if you're middle in America, when you want something you really want, you reach and get the ultra rich version of it. So in the case of a handbag, you just say, fuck it. I want Chanel and I'll go pay for it. In 2021, Chanel revenue hit a record high, $15.6 billion, up 50%. 50% on $15 billion. That means the year before they did 10. And then they went to 15.
Wild. That's wild.
Okay. And operating profit was up 171% over 2020.
Wow.
They are now raising prices even more. And they basically are saying that like we don't want to cater to rich people. We want to cater to the ultra rich.
That's a flex.
15. I mean, think about like, I could see if you're like, we're going to only cater to the ultra rich and we're $100 million a year business.
Yeah.
That makes sense in my brain. But you're telling me you're only catering to the ultra fucking rich and you're selling $15 billion worth of shit? There's that many ultra rich people. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. What is it? Is the average rich person just spend like $50 million a year on Chanel?
Well, think about the person who bought the $150 million Mercedes. How much Chanel do you think that person spends?
Yeah. And they must just like buy out there must be people that are like, yeah, I'll just take everything when the new season drops.
By the way, Chanel in 2021 spent $1.8 billion on marketing. What the
Where?
fuck are they spending money on?
They don't even need to market.
They probably just lit it on fire just to say they had a marketing.
Like,
those could be
they're
events.
having a dinner. We're having a Chanel dinner, and in the
We're all
middle,
gonna watch
it's cold out, so instead of we're just gonna light money on fire.
They probably had a Chanel bonfire and roasted marshmallows over $100
I bet you
bills.
there's like private events for their ultra net worth individuals.
We've been to one.
Yeah, that's true.
They must have spent a fortune on that dinner.
Mm-hmm.
They better because they got 1.8 to spend. That's crazy. All right. Well,
so
it's
Chanel's classic flap bag, which is one of the most popular Chanel bags, since 2019, the price has jumped 58%. It's $8,200.
They're just untouchable.
It arguably like it's like to me like the best, like the most impressive brands are like LV and Chanel.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, look, I don't know how big Rolex is, but I feel like Rolex is there. I feel like these brands are just like untouchable.
Yeah, it's just with every asset class down at the minimum 20%, except for real estate, at the maximum 90%.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Not Chanel.
No, I know Chanel's untouchable, but what gets hit first?
I mean, you see it. Restaurants, they're hit.
You think restaurants are hit?
100%. I can see it. I go out to eat all the time. It's not as crowded. And I'm not talking about, Delilah, whatever. They're like Chanel. Delilah is like Chanel of restaurants, right?
Yep.
Like they're catering to a very specific group of people. But like, I was at the Grove yesterday. It was not busy at restaurants.
Really?
All the restaurants had tables at dinner time. Every single one.
If the Grove is light, that's I'm going to do some investigating.
Go see the restaurants. The restaurants were visibly less busy, and
I thought the Grove was like Chanel of malls.
Yeah, maybe the stores are fine, and I don't know, but like I talked to every retailer. They're all telling me their business is bad. No retailer has told me, unless they're niche, they're very niche, are they doing really well?
Yeah, everyone's. But we talked about luxury home prices or home sales being down a little bit. I mean,
is that the ultra luxury? Like the guys trying to sell the $100 million houses, or are you talking like a $5 to $10 million house?
Both.
That's a good question.
It was ultra luxury though. It was like Hamptons. It was.
I mean, how about that house?
I know that $100 million house hustle is done. That's over.
Yeah.
How about like Rich buying the $100 million? How much was that house?
100, over 100.
That's amazing. Right at the bubble. I mean, he's fine. They just launched a beauty brand. There's anher one of those.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that house closed. I don't think it can.
Oh.
I think the seller is trying to revoke the sale.
I think the debt owns the house. Got a little intel on that.
Oh.
Okay. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Great time to bail on that purchase.
Right.
Bail out. Okay, real quick, we have an interview with everyone's favorite guest, Ian Rogers from Ledger. Also, DJ Skee popped in. This is part 2 with Ian, and we got a little pop in from DJ Skee. So let's go to that, and then we'll finish up with winners, losers, and content.
You don't want to miss winners, losers, and content. That's where the most laughs were. So listen through.
Yep.
All right, Ian, I want to know about these collabs Ledger is doing.
Man, I'm so proud. I got to be honest, because to me, we have the only like physical representation of digital money.
Yeah.
Right. And so question is, how do you show you're part of this? For me, Like, look, I'm wearing a chromey squiggle sweater, which there are not very many people on the planet that are going to get. If you don't know it, search chromey squiggle. Or even better, listen to podcasts on Proof with Derek Edward Schloss, where he gets really into the details. But to me, it's the same thing as like in 1986, if you were wearing, you know, a Mark Gonzalez skateboard T-shirt, right? Then, you know, someone would walk up to you in the street and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you know, let's be friends," basically.
Yeah.
Because you're such part of such a small group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it wasn't that way in California, but let me tell you, in Indiana,
Yeah.
you saw someone else with a Thrasher shirt in 1986 and you were like, "Yo, we've got to be friends."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it feels, you know, to me, how do you show that? And I think a lot of people do want to show that crypto is important to them because it does represent freedom on some level. You know, it is, you know, if you're just kind of investing in it as an equity, well, what's the difference in between that and investing in Amazon? If you believe in, you know, digital gold and hard money and Austrian economics and, you know, kind of a world where, you know, the government doesn't have, you know, the same role in our financial lives that it has, you know, since Bretton Woods. Okay, that's a club, right?
Yeah.
It's a club that includes some extremely interesting people, you know, from Austrian economists to MMA fighters.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you put that on people? Now in the world of NFTs, it can mean something else, right? I mean, I have my atom bombs tattooed on my arm.
Oh wow.
I'm my dead fella. You know, I mean, this is actually an NFT from a French tattoo artist named Tintin. You know, so it is membership in a club, and how do you put that? How do you show that? So we've done a few. I mean, whether it's Gunna at the Met Gala,
Yeah, which was nuts.
that was amazing. Look, the Vogue article of Gunna at the Met Gala is just like, wow, I couldn't ask. And that's a great story that was touch and go till the very end. It's hip hop.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And by the way,
you know hip hop.
I just want to say that, like, again, you know, anyone with a checkbook can put their name on a sports arena.
Yeah.
Right? Like putting
shots fired.
putting Ledger on the runway, putting Ledger on the runway with Fendi, putting, you know, a Ledger around the neck of Gunna at the Met Gala. You know, you gotta give a shit about culture.
Yeah.
You gotta show
you have to
up.
be a part of it too.
Yeah, you gotta show up. You know,
Yeah.
you know how it is. You know, I always said this about in the music business in Nashville. You gotta show up.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's the same way with culture. And also definitely in NFT communities, you know, I mean, Bobby Hundreds and I have been talking about that collab that we did since last October at least.
Wow.
And we really spent a lot of time. Like, we didn't know how to print on these things and print it well. And it came out so beautifully.
sick.
And we did it with VCon. We've done it with Bright Moments, which is an incredible kind of art gallery. We've done it with On-Chain Monkeys. We've done it, and we'll keep doing it because these are communities. The amazing thing is with Ledger, our penetration in these communities is very high. You know, you look at even like with Bored Apes, you know, we haven't done a collab with them like this, even though we're friendly, but, you know, and hopefully we still will. But the point is that you have a small community, people get wrecked, they get hacked, they get their shit stolen. Word travels fast. It's like, man, you know, your ape is worth a lot. You better put it on a Ledger, you know? And so these communities are, you know, they support each other. And if you support each other, then you keep each other safe, and you do education around security and safety. So when you get into high value stuff, whether it's people who have large amounts of Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you know, high value NFTs like Bored Apes or Proof or whatever, you start to see, you know, really high penetration of Ledger inside of those communities. So it only makes sense, you know, that we would be doing things that are special with those communities. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
You know, what we did at VCon with the VCon, there were only 555 of them because 5 is Gary's favorite number. You had to show up and you get a POAP. And if you minted the POAP, and then we randomized them, and the first 555 on the list could come back and buy one of the VCon ones. And they're really coveted. I mean, I think they're like, those are expensive on eBay at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's just super fun, and it's a way that Ledger can you know, show up in culture in a meaningful way. And I mean, I was wearing the Hundreds one around my neck all weekend until Snoop's son Champ showed up in the ledger area, and I was like, it was blue one. I was like, okay, this one's for you.
Yeah.
People wanted it. People were
take this
talking.
one. You know, YG sporting the red one
Yeah.
on Instagram yesterday was a great look from
That's awesome.
from Bobby. I was trying to get YG to come down here with us today.
He knows this office.
Yeah,
He's-
but yeah, it's fun,
Right.
and it's just it's just fun for me. I'm really proud of it because
Yeah.
you know we want to again. I want it. What is like the Thrasher T-shirt of crypto?
Yeah.
That's important to me.
yeah, that's
I
so true.
want that to exist.
And so what kind of like innovation in the product, like what does Ledger look like 10 years from now? Because I'm assuming it's not what it is today.
No, I mean we actually have a lot of innovation in the pipeline. So right now we have the Ledger Nanos, and you know the Ledger Nano. So we have the Nano X and the Nano S Plus. And the great news is now since we moved from the Nano S to the S Plus, the X and the S are basically the same amount of memory, roughly, same screen size, etc. There's only one difference. The Nano X has Bluetooth, and where the S Plus does not.
Okay.
So super easy choice. If you want to use it with your iPhone over Bluetooth, you choose the X. If you don't need the Bluetooth, you can choose the S Plus, and for $80, you're getting top tier security. And I think that's important. I think it's like kind of like the importance of the iPod Shuffle.
Yeah.
iPod Shuffle was like you could become part of the Apple ecosystem for $100.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that for the Nano S Plus. You know, I want people to be able to get top tier security for less than $100, and then we go up from there. So I think we want to attack all the big usability issues. So one, over time, screen size needs to go up. Onboarding needs to be easier. And this whole thing of being the custodian of your 24 words, we need to make that easier for you. So we have something of that coming. The connectivity to Web3 needs to be easier. That's why we announced a product called Ledger Connect and Web3 Check. So Ledger Connect is the way you connect your ledger directly to Web3 without needing a wallet in the middle.
So it takes away the MetaMask.
Yeah, you don't need MetaMask or Phantom, et cetera. And it's also cross-chain. So you can go,
Oh, wow.
you're just in Safari on your phone, and you can easily connect using your ledger, connect to OpenSea, connect to LooksRare, connect to Magic Eden over, with Solana, all of that directly there. So that we just announced. Then Web3 Check is actually just kind of like the spam filter we were talking about. So, if you connect to something and it looks fishy, then we should give you a big, red strobe saying, this doesn't look right to us.
Yeah.
Are you sure? And so that's what Web3 Check is. So, we have to keep going. Again, from my perspective, it's 1998. We know that in the future you just hit play and music comes out, right? But it's not here yet.
Yeah.
So what are all of the barriers? What are the specific barriers we need to get there? So easier onboarding, better connectivity to Web3, better filtering of scams and that kind of stuff, bigger screen because you're signing more complex transactions. When you're signing a smart contract, you are signing a contract which is immutable.
Yeah.
Right. So this is not DocuSign, right? And somehow it's simpler than DocuSign. You're just like, yeah, blind sign, burn. But no. It's way more serious than DocuSign, which is way harder to do, right?
Yeah.
So we need to actually make it so you say, oh, after I sign this transaction, I'm going to be -1 Bored Ape. Is that really what I want to do? No. Or maybe yes, but you need to be able to see that information clearly.
Yeah.
So that's all the stuff that we're working on. I think we have, and look, over time, like I said, the phone that's in your pocket will be rebuilt ground up with security in mind. And, I think that
Ledger makes a phone.
I think that we either do that or it's Ledger inside your phone. But you asked for 10 years from now. For sure, that's 10 years from now.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. That's really cool. And we have Skee here, and you just dropped off a book, so I want to know what's going on.
Book, yeah.
Skee,
I didn't know you were an author too, man.
Skee isn't not, he's not only an author, he's an author for Wiley. Like this is like a real OG computer science
literally a textbook.
Yeah.
My computer science textbooks in college were from Wiley, and DJ Skee
Who would have thought? If you would have told me like 3 years ago, hey, you're going to write your first book, it's going to be on Wiley, and it's going to be about the metaverse. And I said, what are you guys even talking about? Which just shows how insanely quick this space is moving. So the Metaverse Handbook out now on Wiley, which gives me the pleasure to say that now I've written the textbook on the metaverse, literally, which is one of the reasons that I did it with them. I wrote it with my friend Q Harrison Terry. Q Harrison runs all the growth from Art Cuban companies. He wrote another bestseller called the NFT Handbook. And he came to me when he saw all I was doing in the metaverse. And we started building in the metaverse a couple of years ago, and people thought I was crazy. I remember running around the music industry talking about platforms like Roblox, even Discord and things, and people looked at me like, what are these?
Yeah.
And like, what the hell are you guys talking about? And for me, it was actually my niece on Roblox that was the turning point for me, that I realized how big this could be. I'd always been exploring like things from going back to even Second Life, right?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, I remember how cool this was, and looking at Linden Labs and what the dollars were, and seeing this new currency and community. And I'd always been deep into gaming. But it took me a while actually to understand Roblox, because I was like, the graphics suck. Like, what is this? It doesn't look like any of these other things. So I paid my niece literally like $100 and converted it to Robux, so whatever that conversion was, just to let me follow her for a week, because I'm like, I'm obviously not getting this, but there's something here. And I realized, I had this aha moment like a day later. It's like, she's not here just to play games. She's here because this is where her friends are, and this is where they hang out. The same way that I used to go to the Mall of America growing up in Minnesota and hang out with my friends, and we'd go store to store. Those were almost like the games that we went to were the stores, but we were all going to this place to meet, to hang up. That was like, the experiences were secondary. So I was like, wow, there's going to be something massive here, where if we can create environments that are conducive for people to hang out and interact and create community. And I thought that there was a tremendous value, especially with IP, with music, with some of the licensing rights that we have on the Dash side. So we started building in there. We started powering music in certain gaming experiences and things. We started building things, and like, even like with one of the great examples is with like Paris Hilton. I was sitting with her and her husband Carter about 1.5 years ago, telling them what I was doing. And she's like, oh, should I build my own Paris world? I was like, yeah, why not? She's like, should I do it in Fortnite? And I was like, Fortnite's probably not the right brand for you. It's a little more male, a little more toxic, but have you heard of Roblox? She's like, no, what's that? So I tell her about that. I'm like, there's more females. It's younger, but I think we could make it work for you. It's kind of on brand. It'll introduce you to no demo. And like, to her credit, and that's why she's always been so successful, she's like, great, let's do it. Not like, what's the numbers? What's the budget? Like, let's figure it out. We're like, let's both experiment. Now Paris Hilton has the biggest persistent celebrity metaverse in the world, which is insane. We launched it New Year's Eve. We had more people than Times Square. Did New York Fashion Week, more people attended than attended all of the New York Fashion Week shows combined. We just did Coachella's and Neon Carnival, and we had more people in her world than experienced Coachella in real life both weekends. And like, it's an incredible experience. So we took a lot of those lessons and learnings, and people were trying to understand what the metaverse is, because it's still a very abstract concept to most, and that's why we wrote the book. And the book is very like simple. This is for people that don't know anything. Like, I gave it copies to my parents, to my grandmother, right? So they could read it, and they're like, oh, okay, this starts to make sense. So we tried to write it from a perspective of like, hey, here's what's going on. Just try to make people super familiar. Well, we go a little in depth. So if you're familiar, you'll still probably learn some new things, but it's really meant to onboard a new generation and share just the experiences that I've had building in this the past couple of years.
That's super interesting. And what do you think is the catalyst that gets your parents into the metaverse?
It's got to be good experiences. And that's what's lacking right now, right? Like, a lot of the platforms, we look at a lot of platforms and they're just not engaging. Like, they feel empty. They feel barren. There's not a lot of things to do. And a lot of the challenge is, a lot of people are like buying land just to speculate, just purely for financial reasons. And that's not what's going to make this a success. Like, I'm not even that bullish on, even though I talk about like, hey, buy land, experience it. I don't know if that's going to be a thing long-term, because the same way that land exists in the real world, like, we're sitting here in Los Angeles and very valuable property, right? That is in the center of everything. Metaverse, I can click a button and be transported to anywhere. It doesn't matter if I'm next door. It takes me the same amount of time to go technically next door in the metaverse as it would to take me into an entirely new different island.
That's what I keep saying. Any metaverse where you can like run forever in the woods.
And that's the most boring thing
bullshit.
ever.
Like, what it's going to be is, we're going to be in an experience of some kind together. And then if
Yes.
you
So the
and I are
land is
like,
worthless.
hey man, let's jump
I
jump
don't
over
know.
there.
It's TBD, but I think like we have to get out of like people buying just for speculation because they think they can make money, and actually have to start creating experiences that are meaningful. And the best examples are like in gaming, what you've seen in Fortnite and Roblox so far. We have to make experiences good in the metaverse, and we need to give them reasons to come that are entertaining. I mean, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. You're competing against Netflix, against Fortnite, against anything for people's time. So it can't be just speculation and BS.
And do you think, like, obviously with everything that's just happening with like price correction, does that delay what's going to happen in the metaverse, or it just because like it's obviously happening for young people? It's just even I'll give you an example. Like when Travis Scott went to Fortnite, I tried to figure it out. I could not. I missed the show.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the fuck to click.
Yeah.
And so for me, it feels like a lifetime away because like my one effort to try to be a part of it was like daunting. But I get like to your point, I guess there will be an activity that comes along that I'll be engaged with.
I think you got to look at it this way. I think you can make some predictions here. Just like in 2002, we could predict that subscription music was the future, but it was still many years away. I think that Skee's right. It's about experiences. The killer application of the internet has always been communication. I think Discord tells you the shape of modern communication. We belong to kind of exclusive communities, and that will be the shape. I think that the only thing that will be different is like what is the look and feel of that community. And to your point, like Discord is just sort of the most scalable way to do that today. You have these other experiences that probably look more like the future than we realize, like Roblox, like these kind of gaming worlds, right? But so if you just think, okay, they are places for people to gather and communicate. We've always just moved on the internet from one communication tool to the next. We forget, but we went from Usenet to IRC to Yahoo Messenger, MSN Messenger, ICQ, and now we've all got Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, messages.
Yeah, that's true. Do you
Discord.
forget like how many platforms we've all been on, being on the internet for this long?
But they all kind of serve the same purpose.
Yeah,
it's a place that you gather with your friends. I remember when I had one friend on WhatsApp. You know what I mean? And now it's like now I do, and then it was for people. Now it's for everything, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, it'll become kind of overcrowded. And I'll move to something better. There will be a Discord. I mean, already there are conversations that I would only have in Discord.
Yeah.
Right. Even though maybe they're with people from work, they're with NFT artists that I'm working with, or people from that community.
But that's where
that
that
communication is only going to happen on Discord. Right.
Yeah.
And so this is exactly what will happen. These spaces will get created.
Yeah.
The spaces will have kind of a look and feel. And I think that the notion that it is going to simply, mimic the real world in some way. So Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, their definition of metaverse is people who are not in the same physical space as one another collaborating. That's what we do. Hello, that's
simple,
my job.
right?
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, then you realize that we all live on a metaverse. Just pick up your phone, look at screen time. That's how much time you spent in the metaverse last week. Right.
Damn, I'm on 10 hours a day.
I know, right?
Well,
it's insane.
There you
Scary.
go. There you go. So the only thing that'll happen is that the tools that you use to communicate will evolve.
Yeah.
That's really it.
I think it's just gonna get simplified and onboarding to Web3 over time between all the billions and billions. I mean, Facebook at Meta is spending like 10 billion a year in their metaverse. They're losing 10 billion a year in the division, and we'll have this on ramp. What it looks like, I don't think any of us know, but it's coming, and we'll see.
And you guys made a great point, right? Like the same things that hold true in the real world, like as you've mentioned, all the different social networks and messaging apps and systems that we've gone through over the years. It's the same thing at the end of the day. We're talking to somebody else. It's just the format changes. That's what a lot of the metaverse is. People like to overthink and like it's daunting. And you look at these things and think of the infinite possibilities. But when you really think about it, it's the opportunity to interact in just a new environment. Like the way that I talk to the metaverse about with artists and people that we work with is it's a new it's almost like a new market and a new territory. There's Miami, there's New York, there's LA, there's the metaverse. It's a lot different than those, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to somewhere international, but there's no gravity, there's no science. You can infinitely scale it. You don't have to deal with fire marshals at events and like all these limitations. But it's the same theories. You have to create, like, for experiences, things that are fun, that are entertaining, that are engaging, that you want to spend time in, and that, like, the reason people are spending money on virtual, goods and the way that their avatar looks is because they're spending like real time, and this is how they appear to others. So that's why I think it's going to be widely important. No different than the clothes that you're wearing. Like, you give a whole thing on why you're wearing this sweater.
It's identity. It's identity.
Identity.
Yeah. Why do people buy luxury? Identity.
100%.
So we talked about last time. Skee, question for you. For 3 different profiles. One is just your average group chat listener.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is an artist, right? A third is a brand. What should they do in the metaverse today?
I think it depends on what your goal is, right? Like, if you're just a consumer that doesn't care, that doesn't need to look at the future, that's just living your life, honestly, probably not much, unless you're like a young kid, because your friends aren't going to be there. It's still so early. It's not going to be fun. If you're a brand, it depends on how digital savvy you want your brand to be. Like, certain brands, like obviously Ledger, are going to be at the forefront of this and probably powering and doing a lot more than a more traditional brand will be. But I think it's important to go out and just try things. And instead of like trying to buy land and build your own world that nobody goes to and not being authentic in the community and making mistakes, like, just go out and start like experimenting and doing smaller things in communities that are active, and seeing like, and I think it's important to focus on like where people are going today. Like, even though they're not true Web3, like, again, Roblox, Fortnite, these are great examples of what people want to do in these digital environments. And I think it's just, going out and, if you're into this stuff, then go out and experiment. Like, go try, experimenting if you want, like, buy land, don't spend much, but like, buy land, jump in all these worlds, go into Decentraland, get an Oculus headset. Like, if you want, like, you'll come up with the ideas. And that's where I'm so excited. Like, I don't think we've scraped the surface on what the possibilities and what the best experiences are going to be. It's going to be kids that have grown up in this and that are native to this. And this is like, to them, like, Roblox is no different than, meeting somebody in real life. Like, that's the same thing.
Benoit from Artifact, I had him come speak to LVMH a couple months ago. And he was like, just think, guys, in 10 years, there won't be 25-year-olds who are your customers who have never played Minecraft.
Yeah.
Right. Every single,
100%.
25-year-old customer of any of your brands grew up playing Minecraft. So just think about what their expectations of technology are going to be. And that's where I completely agree with you on. To me, these are all just primitives. And I think this is worth saying, like, whether you're talking about an NFT or whether you're talking about a metaverse, that's like saying a website, right? And it could be anything. And a website's hyperlink from one to the other, right? So what they really are is they're just experiences. And we are going to move from experience to experience, just like we do today. What happens? You look at my calendar every day. I am busy from, my calendar shows busy 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. And I'm moving from metaverse to metaverse, right? And all I do is I click this link and boom, I'm in this world with 4 or 5 other people, depending on the meeting, right? And then when that one's done, I go boom, and I go into this next world, right? Hello, like, so is that not a metaverse because I don't have a 3D head and rabbit ears? Like, no, of course it fucking is, right? And so the only thing that's going to happen is that is going to evolve, and we'll decide, sort of how we spend our time there, just like, we do with our free time today. Are you watching Netflix, or are you cruising the web, or are you doing both? And that technology is going to get better and better and better. And just the other thing to remember is there are no new human problems, as Clayton Christensen said. 70,000 years of humanity, and there are no new human problems. We just hire new technology to solve old problems.
100%.
So you could just look at everything that humans have ever wanted to do, which is have status, be individuals, get laid, make money, have families, have social interaction, like, everything, same shit humans have always wanted to do. And you just go, okay, what's the technological overlay on that? I think the bigger thing is that we are also, this is going to collide with our nation state world in a way that is probably quite scary, right? Balaji's new book, Network States, And are there wars between network states and nation states? Like on some level, that sounds really sci-fi. At the same time, Anonymous is attacking Russia right now. So guess what? It's here. It's not future. It's today. There is a network state attacking a nation state, right? So this is the future. And again, like we said at the beginning, or maybe last episode, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. And it's so fucking real. And it's bizarre, but I agree. I say the same thing to all the brands I talk to, which is like, do something so you learn.
Yeah.
Don't take a lot of risk.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And I think like you learn, like there's no better way, like you can read my book, right? Like you can do these things, but there's no better way than experiencing it for yourself. For me, like one of the two key moments over the last year that I've seen was one, watching the user behavior of what people do in these worlds. So like when we'd bring Paris Hilton in, we'd actually have her go into private servers and interact with them as her character. She's verified, and kids would run around and literally stand next to her and ask in the chat, and this is on a video game of her avatar, if they can take a selfie. They'd ask that. And then certain kids would take leadership positions and organize them. The same way that if she was walking around in the real world, you would ask them to can I take a picture with you? Generally, some people, of course, will just do it, but the proper people will ask. And then somebody will like organize and be like, all right, there's a photo, tall people in the back. You move over there. I was like,
so there's a code in the metaverse.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing in the real world. And the moment that I knew that this was like, I was on the right track was I woke up to a message from Paris where she was like, oh my God, I never in a million years thought I'd be spending like New Year's Eve partying in a computer in the metaverse, but I had more fun than I had partying in the real world. Watching all the outfits, hanging out with people, and being able to do it from my living room, it was actually a funner experience. And this is the queen of partying, right? Like she gets VIP, like better access than anyone does. Like she can go in anywhere. She doesn't have to deal with waiting in lines, paying for a lot of things, right? So she has it the best of the best. And when she's saying she had more fun, and this is her like off color, like she's not talking to press. She's just like, oh my God, I didn't think, like, I thought you were kind of crazy, but this was actually more fun. This is the future of what partying is. And she's not of the demo that grew up playing this. So when that converted her, I was like, okay,
where did you grow up, Skee?
This is the future, Minneapolis.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm from Goshen, Indiana. I always say like when you grew up in Goshen, Indiana, then metaverse party could be way more fun than what I grew up with.
And that's really what it is. Like it's the opportunity. Like I don't think in real life events are ever going to go away. There's no replacing even us getting together.
I think they become more valuable, more premium.
100%. But it's not going to be like, Ian, you're in Paris. We're lucky that you're here right now. If we wanted to do this, like generally it's not going to be the most reasonable to ask you to fly here every time you do this. However, in the metaverse, imagine if like we're all sitting here and your avatar's there, like we can get a good experience and it can actually be a little bit different, right? Like we can talk and fly through all the things that you're talking about and go through the history of time and showcase them. So we can actually use technology to do more. And I think it's just a separate experience leveraging the powers of what we can do digitally that are, kind of add-ons to what happens in real life.
That's incredible. Where do you get this book?
Anywhere. Metaversehandbook.com will take you straight to Amazon for the link, but you can buy it anywhere that books are sold. So
where can I get it in the metaverse?
In the metaverse, I know we're talking about it. We actually we're trying to figure out how we do like experiences and like reading events. In
we
the metaverse
gotta bypass Bezos, man.
I know, right? But still, like we still want to chart and do these
DJ
things.
Skee will read me this book.
Let's go, right? Let's do it.
You gotta do an audio?
I don't know. I'm picturing like a psychiatrist's office.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I lay down on the virtual couch.
You pull up with your aid.
I know, right?
Skee's in an armchair.
That's true. Look, those are great uses for the use cases for the metaverse.
With his mouth really close to the mic.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. So great seeing you guys.
All right, let's get back to the episode.
And we're back. Winners, losers, content. Let's go. Okay, Netflix. You want to talk about Netflix?
Yep.
They're like Netflix is under the microscope because they're just getting creamed. They talked about adding advertisements. They've talked about the problems with people sharing their passwords. Now, one of the new topics is that the way that they release entire seasons at once in order to let people binge it, getting some pushback.
I mean, look, when unfortunately you're struggling, everything is criticized. Everything is criticized.
What's
everyone's
the logic behind the criticism?
Well, because then, you'll have to stay if you, let's say, what's their biggest show right now? Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Let's say Stranger Things is shown over 6 months. Then you're going to stay on Netflix.
Netflix is like Web3. Like we thought it was. It was gonna
I don't
work.
know. I just saw Hustle on Netflix. That was going to be my content recommendation. It is the best fucking movie I've seen in so long.
You haven't
Is
seen
the Adam
Top Gun?
Sandler movie?
Yeah, I mean,
So I watched The Hustle. It is fantastic. I actually saw it in the theater. Netflix released it in the theaters a week before.
it was free. It's a recession. Save your money.
It was a nice evening out.
Spend $100 to see a
Yeah,
movie
this
that's
guy.
free.
Just we were talking about the ultra rich.
Ultra rich.
Not effective.
Would you buy a Chanel bag on the way there?
Yeah, you put your popcorn in a Chanel bag.
That would be great. I can't wait to see someone.
Imagine just
see
sitting at iPick, just pulling buttered popcorn out of a Chanel bag.
The Hustle is great.
That's the Adam Sandler one, right? The basketball
Yeah.
one? Okay.
And I'll tell you, I think why I like it is like, it's about a guy that, and this is my content recommendation, so I'll just jump to it. Guy that's been like struggling in his career for his whole life, and then finally gets his shot like in his 50s,
Mhm.
which is pretty like for a lot of people, a lot of older people that I talk to, they feel like they missed out, they didn't get the shot. And like I know everyone feels like the young people rule the world, but it sounds like some of the young people are going to go to jail now.
Yeah, not
So-
anymore. Yeah, they're all
So there's an
It's
opportunity.
a 50-year-old's game right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you just put your head down, you're just a good person, you might come out on top right now.
It's a steak and potatoes era.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just go-
true.
It's a
Stick to
snail.
fundamentals.
It's a snail. Like, just focus on the fundamentals.
And it's
Dribble, pass,
Yeah.
have a good spirit. You can make it.
I mean, that
Good
was
attitude.
a similar story to the agent that found Giannis.
Yeah.
He was just like a very like not known person, didn't really have that much talent, and then he found arguably the most talented player we've ever seen.
Yeah. So,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
your time will come.
Yeah,
That's what you should
travel
watch.
the-
I think everyone over 40 should watch it. I think everyone should watch
I
it.
think
It's a great
everyone should
movie,
watch
but like over 40, it's quite inspiring.
I think everyone should have watched it a year ago, all ages, to realize struggle's going to come in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have
That
got
would have
laughs
been a
out of
good
the room.
movie in that era. It
How
would
dare
have
you to
flopped.
say that
It would have
out loud.
flopped.
You say
would've
struggle's
flopped.
going to come in 2021 in public? Yeah, right. All right. So that's your guys' content. But
Yep.
Adam, is that your content too?
I have another.
Okay,
Piece
great.
of
So
content.
let's start with our winners for the week. D, who's the biggest winner of the week in your eyes?
I'm going with like old school Wall Street that just shitted on all the fuckery of what was happening the last year. And it's not just crypto, but like SPACs, just people just out of control. And like, we made fun of them last year a lot.
So I think you have to modify that because hedge funds are all of Wall Street's getting smoked right now.
I'm talking about Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine.
He could be your winner.
Yeah, I think it's Warren Buffett who, like, we were like, he's not even the richest man in the world anymore. He probably is now.
Yeah, we laughed at him a lot.
I mean, like when you think about like similar to my content recommendation, it's life is a marathon, right? Like it takes time, and in that marathon, maybe mile 12 you're feeling good, and maybe mile 20 you feel like shit.
you have shit
Like,
running down your leg.
You have shit running down your leg in mile 20, and then you somehow wipe it off and you get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Right now, unfortunately for a lot of people, there's a lot of shit on your leg.
Yeah. There's shit
And
all over people's legs.
You might not even be able to walk because there's so much shit.
This is shit. Yeah.
And I think, there is, if one of the things, like if creating wealth is ultimately what you want to do, there's a slow and steady proven way to do it.
Yeah, that's true. You got to keep your job.
Or
They want you to get fired.
Yeah.
They're publicly
you
saying
better,
we
be one of the ones who survive, because they're pushing people overboard starting
Do you
now.
think people get that, the average person, what is being said?
No, I can guarantee
the
you
government?
they don't, because they don't.
Like I was listening to that yesterday and I was like, this is pretty shocking.
No one's watching that.
No one's watching it.
Because in previous times to tame inflation, they would say like, look, we'll raise rates, everything will get back to normal. This was like, hey, people need to be fired. We don't like everyone employed.
Cutthroats. Kill. Yeah, I'm telling you 100% though, 95% of like the people, because look, I think that a lot of times when we think about like people with jobs, we think about almost like big tech, because that's what a lot of people talk about. If you talk about just the majority of like the actual workforce that's going to get trimmed, I think 95% of those people have a very, very, very limited understanding of what's happening. I think they know like gas is expensive and there's like a weird war going on.
And they use like, fancy terms where if you don't read between lines, labor's too tight. That's when you hear labor's tight, that means we need to fire people.
They're like, labor's tight. Yeah, I'm telling you, they have no idea. And it's not until it hits you that it's like, whoa, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, that's why what you're saying, I think, is right, where when we get to the point where all these people just got handed a bad hand and they have no jobs, like that's reality. Because I don't think your average person is really like buckling down. I think they're waiting. They don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Labor's tight. Donan, who's your winner?
My winner's Liv. And
me too.
Just the chaos it created.
Yeah, that's all they're talking about. U.S. Open started today. All they're talking about is Liv. I mean,
really,
marketing.
I gotta watch. That's the only reason I watch U.S. Open is to talk about here Liv.
I came up with a merch idea for my Liv fandom.
Yeah,
are you ready?
Yeah,
I live for golf.
That's good.
Love it. Maybe it'll be the podcast merch.
Isn't the joke on all the people talking shit because all the Liv golfers are there?
That's what happened with Trump, though. Like, you idiots, when everyone was complaining about Trump and then Trump became president, it's because you gave him all the airtime. And you fucking morons are at all of your press conferences for everything is just talking about it.
You should just ban talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, if they were smart, they should ban
talking
talking
about it. They could do. And they, because the U.S. Open just started and they are allowing, like you said, and they're allowing all of the Liv players to play. And so,
so they won.
They won. Phil Mickelson's out there looking tan and rich. Dustin Johnson, Kevin Na, they're all there. And the whole press conference was about why they made the decision to let them play anyway.
Because they need them.
And do you know how ridiculous these people sound, the PGA truthers? Like Jordan Spieth shook someone's hand and didn't look at Kevin Na like, oh, he got him. Yeah, like, he also made $100 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know why he didn't look at his eyes? Because he's so much richer than him that he can't even pay him respect.
Literally.
He's just like, Jordan, you're not even on my planet anymore.
I thought Stephen A. Smith did the best job of giving like such a good explanation of why like you shouldn't be complaining. Like, he's like, aren't we in a capitalistic society in America? So players can't make money different ways, but the PGA can host an event in Shanghai?
Yeah.
Well, here's what's good. The U.S. Open, they did a really good job at like answering the questions. And the guys who run the U.S. Open said something along the lines of, look, this just happened last week. So we would have had to go through and make the decision in the last week of whether we have to kick these guys out or not. And if I'm being honest, I would have to go through every player who's playing or who has ever played in the U.S. Open, look at where they've played in the past, look at PGA events have been in Saudi Arabia in the past. Look at all of their sponsors. Jack Nicklaus has a
golf course in Saudi Arabia. Yes, the legend.
He's like, I would have to look at all their sponsors and where their money comes from. And frankly, I just don't think
I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I mean, U.S. Open ratings are going to get a bump. They're going to get a bump because of the Liv controversy.
Oh yeah.
I think, look, take us out of the like moral, like whatever, moral stuff aside. If you just look at it as a business, Liv fucking is getting so much free marketing.
Yeah. You really can't look at it, something like sports from like, I don't know, you're going to be watching nothing. You can't watch the NBA. You can watch baseball, I guess, maybe, because it's only in America.
The problem is you can't do anything. Like if you literally went through and tried to take even just Saudi Arabia out of your life completely.
You can't fill up gas.
You literally can't fill up gas. And your president is on his way. Is he there now?
I think it's next month, July 13th.
And I mean, yeah. And then you get into the iPhone. I mean, come on.
He's not going there until next month?
I know. He should be there.
He should be there this weekend, homie. Jesus Christ.
He doesn't even realize there's a problem yet. He's like, oh, Exxon.
July? You should be on the phone with him right now, being like, slide us 40 million barrels tomorrow so that we can get these prices down.
Yeah. He'll be like, yo, put on this Live Golf shirt, hop on Air Force One, and you got a deal.
He needs
What if
to
they
live
make him
that.
say, like, we'll give you the gas, whatever you want.
If you walk out,
You
in
got to
Live
wear this
Polo.
Live Golf shirt.
Yeah.
Best deal ever.
Best deal. Take it. Okay, loser. D, who's your loser? Oh, my winner. Oh, mine was Liv. Who's your loser, D?
My loser are airlines and hotels.
Yep.
So prices are obviously insane to travel. Specifically, air travel is like record high, right, in terms of pricing. Part of Jerome Powell's little speech, about destroying America, he also said, if you've flown on a plane lately, planes are very full and plane tickets are very expensive. So he doesn't like that. He doesn't want you flying. They are fucked. That means he knows between fuel surcharges and inflation pricing of tickets, they're wiped. You could guarantee short airlines.
Jerome Powell wants the economic equivalent of COVID.
He wants March 2020 back.
He wants March. He doesn't want you sick and dying. He wants you broke and destitute.
Yeah, he does. He's like, have you had fun lately? I bet there was a lot of people there, wasn't there?
That's a little scary.
That's alarming.
Packed.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Labor tight.
Yeah.
Fire. You stop.
Bro, we
flying.
didn't fly for 3 years.
Yeah.
Let us live.
He literally wants you. He wants you to sit at home and not spend money. To be fair, I'm done with delivery. I can't do it. I can't afford it. It's too expensive.
It is really expensive.
I can't afford to. Yeah, I will drive and pick it up.
That's gas.
What about the gas?
I mean, in most cases, I'll only order from the place across the street from me. I will walk and pick it up.
Yeah.
And from
Buckle
there,
down.
from
Jerome
there,
would be happy. Jerome would love to.
You're a model citizen, D.
By the way, I'm using that company's personal app, their company app. I'm not ordering it on Postmates.
You should be growing your own vegetables if you want to keep Powell happy.
We're growing onions right now. We're growing onions right now. We're not messing around.
Yeah, you got to tone it down. How many streaming platforms would you say you have?
You got to.
That's the problem.
Cut it in half.
I need to cut half. I need to cut half my music platforms.
Yeah,
and I need to cut half my TV. I'm doing that this weekend.
Make Jerome
I'm making
happy.
big cuts.
Jerome's watching.
Yeah, Disney or Netflix. Pick one.
Pick one.
No, I'm not giving up those two.
Well,
I'll give up Hulu.
Well, Jerome's coming for you. He's gonna be knocking on you.
I'll tell you what I'm going to give up this weekend. Right? I'm making big, bold decisions right now. I'm canceling Hulu.
Okay.
I'm canceling Showtime.
Okay.
I'm canceling Stars. They're gone. Fuck off.
Good.
Yeah, those are the low hanging fruits.
I'm still
we
a
need
member
the
of
real cuts. That's
Tidal.
like the first
we need
50
the big
basis
dog.
points.
I still have Tidal. Tidal's gone too.
Title's got to be on. That you just did
Title's
the
gone.
equivalent
Of
what-
course, Title's gone. You just fucking
Is
clean
David
the
music on Tidal?
bottom of
Yeah,
the barrel. We need something that you really love to go. Apple Music or Spotify. You choose.
Okay, I'll cut Apple Music this weekend too.
Good. I like that.
Jerome likes that.
All right, I'm going to seriously cut all that this weekend. Cut the fat.
All right. Tell Jerome. You should tweet at Jerome and say, here's what I did this weekend. I'm just trying to do my part. I'm just a patriot trying to do my part.
30%.
I fired 30% of my staff. I don't plan on traveling. And
So our grass is dying because we're following
Keep
the
it
water
down.
laws. So I'll tell you. So I was talking to my mom about this, and my mom was telling me because she gardens, and she was telling me that when it takes like a few minutes, 5 minutes for the water to heat up at their home, and during that time she takes a bucket and collects the water and uses that water in the garden. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I did that today. It was 5 gallons.
Wow.
so you would normally just let run out, you mean?
Let run out.
Yep.
And then I'm carrying it down the steps and using it on the grass.
He fell and broke your leg.
I'm like, we are
in
in
bed.
bed. I'm like, dude, it's a third world country. I'm saving water from the shower, walking it down the steps.
Be a
It's so
patriot.
fucking
Be a
heavy.
patriot, bro. Do you love America or not?
I clearly do.
Jerome's going to come around and just start breaking legs.
Remember,
You're in bed.
They should start those slogans. Remember, beginning of COVID, like wear a mask, protect your neighbor or whatever.
Yeah.
We need if you're CEO, fire your staff. If
Yeah,
you're-
fire your staff, protect your neighbor.
Don't order delivery
Stay
and
inside,
sit your
protect
ass at
neighbor.
home.
Yep. One streaming service, protect your neighbor.
Yeah, pick a streaming service and stick with it.
Protect your neighbor.
So my loser is simple, Jerome Powell on the Federal Reserve, for all the obvious reasons. And this was avoidable if we had started raising interest rates a year ago. Everyone was screaming from the mountaintop, inflation's coming.
Yeah.
Like you could listen to like 100 podcasts between June of 2021 to December of 2021.
Yeah.
Every smart investor was saying inflation's coming, inflation's coming. Inflation was here. It was already 5%. And smart investors were changing their investment strategies back in November, December.
Yeah.
I think the things that were unavoidable were the war in Russia and supply chain issues because of China COVID, but it shouldn't be as bad as it's been from a stock market perspective, and it shouldn't be as bad as it's going to be from an unemployment perspective if we had started doing this shit last year.
Yeah, I agree. Fair enough. My loser, I'm going to give one more, just victory lap. Amber Heard, this is the last time I'm sure we'll talk about it, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about it. She's now, after losing the court case, she's now going on a press tour where, here's the funny thing to me, is she lost essentially a lawsuit for defamation.
Yep.
And now she's on a press tour continuing to defame Johnny Depp. And I'm just curious how that works. I'm no lawyer, but it just seems like you lost a lawsuit for defamation of character, and then you continue to do a press tour about how you weren't lying and he did abuse you and all these things. And anyway, every one of these videos that gets posted, social media just rips her to absolute shreds. She's just got to go hide out for a while. Take the Jerome
Powell package
plan. Yeah. Take that for a few years. That's it.
Yep. All right.
There you go. That's all we got.
Content. You did Hustle. Did you do one, Drama?
My content is...
I just have a quick one. I saw the new Jurassic Park. Oh. It's great.
In the theaters?
Yeah, in the theaters.
Wow, you're splurging, man. Jerome would not be happy with you.
It's like, hiding out, like going to restaurants during COVID. I'm like sneaking into the theater.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing how much money you're spending.
It was good, though? You liked it?
Yeah, it's fun. Okay. They had the old cast back. It's not going to win Oscars. At least not for me, but it's a good movie. Okay. It might for special effects or something.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is US Open. It's going to be a great time. You get to see everyone together. All the
Team Live.
The US people and the Saudis all playing together. So check it out. All right. That's all we got. Thank you guys for listening. Tighten up. If you got a staff, cut them. If you got plans, cancel them.
You got streaming services, cut them.
Be a patriot. Thank you. Yeah. And luckily, this podcast app is free. See you later.